Welcome back, everybody. In this quick lesson, we're going to go over how to design a life insurance policy. Now, before I get started, I want you to know there are literally thousands of ways to design a policy. The first and foremost, you need to make sure that you have enough death benefit in place so that if the breadwinner of the family, if something were to happen to them, enough money would go to the family to take care of all their expenses. So if I make $100,000 a year, ideally I want at least $2 million of coverage. The idea is if I pass away tomorrow, and my spouse inherits $2 million tax-free, theoretically, you could put that into some investment and hopefully get 5% interest, which is $100,000 of income to the family. So the purpose of life insurance is to replace me as the breadwinner to the family, or replace my income. So the death benefit amount should go to replace the income of whoever is insured. That being said, there's different types of policies and there's different ways to design it. I'm going to talk about one example that we've kind of kept consistent throughout this entire lesson for a 45-year-old guy who wants to retire at age 65. And this policy is going to be used for banking purposes, putting money in and pulling money out the most effective way possible. Some people call this the infinite banking concept. There's a book out there called Be Your Own Banker. And it's a phenomenal book. It goes over this stuff in detail, so you can check that out. But I'm going to give you a high-level idea of how to design a policy. In this example, I'm going to use the same numbers from the illustrations that we review as well, so we stay consistent throughout the whole thing. So with that being said, I'm going to get rid of my camera because you all don't need to see my face, and I'm going to go ahead and draw on the iPad. All right. In this example, we are going to use a 45-year-old male who wants to retire by the age of 65. Okay. Now, this person, the way that we designed it, it was pretty specific. I'm assuming that this person has never understood these concepts before. They probably follow the traditional route of saving for retirement and purchasing things like cars or saving money for their kids' college. So I'm thinking that they'll probably have some money in the bank. They'll probably have money in a qualified retirement account, and they have good income. So in this example, I'm going to assume that the death benefit is already taken care of. So we're not going to worry about the death benefit. After the death benefit is taken care of, then we get to design the policy. And for cash flow banking, we want to use whole life from a mutual company that's participating. In other words, they pay dividends. Mutual company means that as a policy owner, I own a portion of the insurance company, and that means I get to share their profits, and their profits come to me in the form of dividends in the policy, and those dividends come to me tax-free. So we use a specifically designed whole life policy. Now, let's go over how you can design the premium of what goes into the life insurance policy. Okay, let's assume this bucket represents the premium. So that's how much money I'm going to put in. The first year, you're allowed to do what's called a dump in. But I don't want to get there yet. Let's talk about the base of this policy, okay? So a policy is basically made up of two parts, a base and paid up additions, or a PUA. The base of the contract really goes towards the big death benefit. The PUAs go directly to cash value or growth. Or excuse me, cash value meaning money that I can pull out of my policy immediately. Okay, so in this example, I'm going to do $10,000 into the base, and I can do 3 times that into PUAs. Now, the way I describe this, the base of the contract, like I said, goes to buy a big death benefit. It also gets recognized by the insurance company as being very profitable to them. And they reward me in the future, which I'll go over that in a minute. But they really like having a strong base of the contract, which allows a lot of future growth. The PUAs into the contract up front, that goes into almost directly into cash value. It stands for paid up additional death benefit, but the money that you put in goes to cash value and a little bit of death benefit, but mainly immediate cash value. Now, the dump-in is pretty unique for contracts. In the first year, I'm allowed to dump in extra cash. Now that only works in the first year, not the second, third, fourth, no year after. But the first year allows me to put money into a policy that's extra above and beyond the base and the PUA. And insurance companies will typically limit this on how much you can put in to around 6 times the base, typically. So in this example, we have $10,000 going into the base, 30 into the paid up additions, and 60,000 into the dump in. Your first year cash value, in the first year, you should have around $80,000 to $85,000 in cash value. Now think about, you might have heard in the past that life insurance is expensive or that there's high commissions and high fees. It's all hearsay. Depending on how you structure the policy, that affects how much commission goes out to the agent and how much cash value you can actually access early on. If you design it correctly, you should have around 80% of your first year's premium available in cash. Let me say that again. I'm going to save money no matter what, whether it goes into my savings account, my 401k, somewhere. It's going to be, that money is going to be used for something in the future. Well, the policy literally can become my own bank. So as I put money in, I can call the insurance company 2-3 weeks later and say, hey, I want to pull the money back out. And in the first year, up to 80% of what I put in is available to pull right back out. Okay. So when people say that, their life insurance has high commissions, that's not always true. You have to be cognizant of these sayings that are, every policy is going to have high commissions. Every policy you pay premium for the rest of your life. Every policy is going to have fees involved for the rest of your life. These aren't true statements. You really get to get really detailed when you design a policy, which is where this whole process becomes kind of fun. So designing a policy up front, I get to create how much early cash value versus long-term growth. Follow me on this. When I put this is my annual premium moving forward. I can no longer put the $60,000 extra. So in the first year, I could put up to $100,000 in cash into the policy. My cash value is around $80,000 to $85,000. And then moving forward on an annual basis, I can only put in $40,000. I do not have to put the PUA in on an annual basis. Technically, what I really should be paying on an annual basis is just the base amount. If I have extra cash, I can put it into the PUA and it will show up in cash value. For example, next year, the second year I have a policy, if I want to put $40,000 of savings into the policy, it will grow by around $40,000. It literally becomes my own bank. Cash value life insurance has so many more benefits than a bank does. That's not the purpose of this video. I want to give you a high level understanding of how to design it using a base, PUAs, and dump-ins, and then showing you how to pull the money out. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to pull the money out and then what happens long-term moving forward. But before we get there, I want to finish that thought from earlier. As I put money into the base, this earns more dividends than the PUA, which will earn less dividends. In other words, this policy that I'm showing you right now, this is the most cash typically that you can put into a policy up front. The trade-off is the long-term growth might not be there. So typically what I like to see, and this is kind of like a rule of thumb, typically you want to see around 60% of PUA and then 40% base. This will give you a good amount of upfront cash in the PUAs, and the base then gives you the long-term dividend growth, which will help you get set up for retirement years. Okay, there's a lot more we can go into this, but again, this is meant to be high level. Hopefully you understood it. If you have any questions, hit that button on the side, shoot us an email, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next lesson.